Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
This is episode 135 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Our final episodic episode. This is episode 7 of season 17 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. Today, we watched our final bit of Young Jedi Adventures. We're ending out the season. We're getting to the stuff that I told Jacob just before recording. We're getting to the stuff that I wanted Jacob to watch this entire show to get to this point. We watched today last week we watched the second half of the 19th episode of BRACCA's Life Strikes Back, the first half of the 20th episode, Aftershock. We skipped 21, then we did both halves of 22, Tale of Short Spire and the Team Up. This week we got both halves of episode 23, the Caves of Batuu and Finders Keepers. We skipped episode 24, and we watched episode 25, which is a double feature, or for just regular terms, talking like just 20-minute long episode called The Prince and the Pirate. A lot happened. I'll be real. There is one of these three stories I put in to pad the viewing count, so we would have enough stuff to talk about this week. But the other two are really good. I'm not saying that one of them is not good. I'm saying that one of these things is not like the other, and I think which one I'm talking about. Though it's hard when one of them is literally Path of the Jedi, the Young Jedi Adventures, and the other one is maybe, honestly, a crazy Emmy caliber twist. Like, what the hell is going on? All right, can you do Caves of Batuu and Finders Keepers?
Absolutely. So in Caves of Batuu, we open on Kai doing a training demonstration in the middle of Black Spire Outpost, with Master Drow and Celesta looking on in order to help connect with the townspeople. And as the training progresses, hold on, Buzz. Is it Drow or Drow? I feel like I've heard it both ways.
I think it's Drow. I'm pretty sure it's Drow.
Awesome. Okay. As the training progresses, Master Drow shows off an insane lightsaber sequence that he has all but perfected. Very acrobatic stuff. Kai attempts the same sequence. It's his first time, so of course he doesn't do very well, and he is very upset with himself that he couldn't do it perfectly. And he says, "How can I be a great Jedi if I can't do that? If I can't do that sequence perfectly?" Drow consoles him and takes him out into the wilderness, out into the forests, to a special force cave, and Kai enters the cave and has some visions. He reunites in his vision with Bel Zettifar and then with Jovi, who teach him lessons about seeking perfection. And the big confrontation, the big main event, is a fight with Taborr. He meets Taborr in his visions, and Taborr offers Kai to join him, saying there's another path to greatness besides perfection. That path is gaining power. Taborr says, "Kai, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't have to care about being perfect or improving because I am who I am." And Kai is very tempted, but he does not fall to Taborr's temptations. He fights Taborr and is defeated by him, but his refusal to give up on his Jedi journey propels him through the vision, and he emerges from the cave realizing that it is impossible to be perfect, and it really isn't that good of a goal anyway. Next up, in Finders Keepers, we join up with the Jedi and Nash with their new friend Aaron, a scrapper on BRACCA. They're all on BRACCA, learning about what it means to be a scrapper, scrounging around for starship parts, when Aaron's droid Mimi, a little flying droid, her power cell gets damaged in an accident. So back at Aaron's hideout, they're looking for a power cell for Mimi before Mimi shuts down. And Aaron is very worried about her droid friend and doesn't want to scrap without her best friend, the droid Mimi. So the crew take a speeder to a new dump site, because power cells are very rare and sought after. Power cells are very rare and sought after on BRACCA. They take their speeder skiff to the new dump site, and Aaron finds a mother load of power cells, but the pick, which are these little kind of bizarre, tiny rat-looking people with these crazy round sunglasses, and they're about 2 feet tall. They're very crazy, but the Pikpik steal the power cells from Aaron and the Jedi, and there's a big skiff chase across BRACCA to get them back. The Jedi crash their skiff. They end up making friends with the Pikpik. Instead of trying to steal back the power cells, they actually do a bargain, and they make a deal, they make a trade, and in the end, Erin gets back her power cells for her friend Mimi.
In The Prince and the Pirate, Cyrus and Nubs are preparing to go once again to Starlight Beacon for its official dedication ceremony. We then see that Taborr is planning on robbing Starlight Beacon of the plaque at its dedication ceremony. Taborr, or should I say Cyrus Vuundir. We find out that Prince Cyrus, who we met in Aftershock, has been basically cosplaying as Taborr Valdorn this entire time. And he talks to EB-30 and Pord on his ship, on their ship, the Iron Talon, who are very skeptical of his plan, but he assures them that he has a way in to Starlight Beacon, of course, because his parents are bringing him there as the monarchs of that planet. They get to Starlight Beacon orbiting the planet of Irem. Kai listen enough to catch up with Cyrus, who is very nervous and tries to hide his true intentions from the Jedi, which goes pretty well, actually. They put him on they give him a tour, but Cyrus manages to distract them by having the Iron Talon fly by and having the Jedi distracted, while he quickly changes into his Taborr outfit, lying to the Jedi, saying he captured Cyrus. They chase him. They chase Taborr, or Cyrus, who has grabbed the plaque throughout Starlight Beacon. At one point, going into the into a trash compactor. At which point, Taborr is about to tell them of his true identity. But then they must escape the trash compactor together as it slowly closes in on themselves. Something that has never ever happened in any other piece of Star Wars media ever. Anyway, they managed to chase Taborr into the reactor shaft where where they grab the dedication plaque back from him, and then force him to, as they would say, return Cyrus, in which he promises to do. And then they, of course, meet up with Cyrus, seemingly back from being captured by Taborr, when in fact he just changed out of his outfit. And the five gather together alongside Belzettifar and Ember for the dedication of Starlight Beacon, hearing words from Master Yoda and then Republic Chancellor Lena yelling out the slogan of the High Republic, "For light and life." And that's where we end Season 1 of Young Jedi Adventures. Quite a bit to talk about.
Absolutely.
I have to do a bunch of setting the tone for and context for you about Prince and the Pirate. I don't want to restrict our conversation about the other two, but I want to get to that one pretty quickly.
No, 100% understood.
Yeah, but first we have the Caves of Batuu, which is when I described it as I've described it for a few weeks to you as Path of the Jedi, but Young Jedi Adventures. That's a pretty fair summary of it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
it's the G-rated version of what Ezra goes through in Season 1 of Rebels.
Yeah, and with the kind of show that this is, very clear, simple message, and to be fair, it's something that we all can learn from. It's something that I'm working on applying these ideas to my life. I think it's the idea that we're always learning and we're always growing, and even the great Jedi Masters are learning. And what makes greatness is not that you achieve a certain level of knowledge or a certain amount of learning, but that you have the mindset to keep going no matter what, and to just keep building. That there's always more to learn. Yeah. I think that's valuable, and I think it's presented in a good way. I definitely feel, even for this show, I feel like it felt a little bit heavy-handed at times, the way that the message. Pause for a sec. When you eat stuff, it makes a lot of noises into the thing. Yes, as I was saying, I think even for this show, knowing what the audience is, knowing that this is really targeted towards kindergartners, pre-K, I think it is nice that there is a little something for people who are not just that. But at the same time, I think other episodes do a better job of giving us a little bit more substance beyond just, oh, you don't have to be perfect the first time around. But I think obviously the real meat and potatoes of this episode is Kai's visions, specifically his vision with Taborr, because so this is a vision. So this isn't actually Taborr. This is Kai. This is Taborr. This is who Taborr is to Kai, manifested. And so we see what Kai thinks of Taborr, and I think for the sake of the show, for simplicity, I think this is an instant where Kai's version of Taborr and actual Taborr are effectively treated as the same. They're treated as the same person, which is interesting. But I do think it's interesting that here more than anywhere else, we really start to see Taborr's motivation come into focus. And we've known some of these things, but the path to the idea of greatness that Taborr really emphasizes, that he wants to achieve greatness and Kai wants to achieve greatness, is something interesting. I mean, what do you think about all this?
There's that line, it's great. That imagine a world where you can do what you want when you want. Come with me, and both of us, being avid fans of this stuff, can fill in the blank. Come with me, join me on the dark side. It's your destiny. It's the only way. We can fill in the rest of that sentence. But this really
felt very familiar. Felt very familiar.
But again, it makes a lot more sense when you realize this, and the Prince and the Pirate as well make a lot of sense when you realize we are introducing kids to the language, to the vocabulary of Star Wars.
Yeah.
We can. So when Luke is tempted by Vader on Bespin, when Rey is tempted by Kylo Ren on the Supremacy, when Anakin is tempted by Palpatine in his office on Coruscant, kids can go, oh, just like Taborr did to Kai. This is, in a lot of ways, this is a lot. There's a lot of babies for Star Wars here, which I think is great. I think they handle very well.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, it's like a soft introduction to some of the Star Wars beats. The offering of the hand is something that we see over and over again.
Yeah, and they thread a tough needle here, because usually, what do we think of Force visions as involving a lot of?
I'm not sure. Temptation?
Violence.
Yeah, I guess so. Ezra? Yeah, I guess actually, yeah.
Ezra's
gets killed in his vision.
Ton of violence. And
Luke
I think they managed
himself. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence in a lot of them. And they managed to, I think, do like a crazy trick, which was do a cave sequence, do a vision sequence with little to no violence, which is incredibly difficult to do. Because often that pain is the physical pain. And you can't go too emotionally deep because you don't want to scare these kids that way either. So it's a clever balancing act that they do, and I thought the way they did it with Taborr, where Taborr was the temptation of Kai. Oh, this is a life where you don't have to follow all the rules. This is a life where you can really do what you want, and the only limits are yourself. But then Kai realizes that the problem with there is no problem with the Jedi. It's only the problem with being a Jedi how he sees it, which I think is great. I think it's fantastic.
And it ties back into, what does Yoda say about the dark side? It's quicker or is it? Fuck, man.
No, it is.
Major break. It is Yoda. Quicker, easier, more seductive. For a minute, I was like, wait, it's Obi-Wan? No, okay, it's Yoda. I'm not going crazy.
It's Yoda. No, it's Yoda.
I'm not going crazy. So, and that exactly ties into that, where, what does Kai struggle with the most throughout this show? Patience. And that is his defining struggle, is how do I slow down enough to really get where I need to go, not just where I want to go, because it's really about the process. So I think that I enjoyed what this had to say about that. And to your point, I also think that they did a very good job of making a very good Jedi vision cave sequence, while also being true to the mission of the show and not being incredibly violent. And I think they hit on that same beat that Ezra and the Inquisitor have in season 1 of Rebels, where He wakes up right as Taborr is about to strike him down.
Yeah, again, introducing to the visual and metaphorical like language of Star Wars, the symbolic language of Star Wars, which I think is great.
And I think there's something very essential, or there's something about that experience for the Jedi of surrendering control in that moment, the way that Ezra does, the way that Kai does. That's essential to the Jedi journey. So it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that here as well, for sure.
There's also a really great, I think, like moment, because this is another big trope in Star Wars, where Taborr says, you're not going to become a great Jedi by doing some lightsaber sequence perfectly. On its own, that is correct. He's right about that. Of course, he follows it up with, so you should just give up, which is not right. But if you're thinking about these Force visions as ways to reveal a weakness or a gap in your knowledge or strengths, yeah, that's the play. Like, Kai has to learn that being a great Jedi is not about how well you can swing the laser sword around.
Yeah, 100%.
It's how best you can embody the values. It's the whole Ahsoka conversation when Dave had her say in Twilight of the Apprentice, I am no Jedi. She didn't literally mean, oh, I hate everything about the Jedi and everything they stand for. She meant she didn't associate herself with the Order, but she still very much carried herself the way a Jedi might.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
In many respects, if not in all respects, you're absolutely right.
There was that headline where that caused a little buzz around when Ahsoka came into The Mandalorian, where Dave was like, in many ways, I think actually, where he said, in many ways, I think Ahsoka is actually more of a Jedi than most of the Jedi were. And people were freaking out about that. I'm like, that was obvious, though. That was always the point. Always the point was Ahsoka was a Jedi without a lot of the dogma and a lot of the shortfallings of the Order.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's, and then of course we have a vision with Yoda at the end, which I just like. Every time we see Yoda in a vision, and it's theoretically possible he could be alive, inserting himself into the vision, I just like, because like he was communing with Ezra. I believe that was actually the real Yoda through the Force, communing with Ezra.
Absolutely.
And so I actually believe that this is the real Yoda communing with Kai through the Force in Young Jedi Adventures. Again, why he couldn't just talk to Kai regularly, different question. But but I just find it funny. Is okay, I gotta tap into the Force. We gotta do this. So I'm gonna be talking to Kai like I normally do, except for with a different background. I'm gonna make him think we're on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, it's a moment.
For kicks is what I'm gonna do. But he says that line at the end, which is fantastic. I did not give you my lightsaber because you are perfect. I gave you it because you are you. Which is, I think, an A+ Yoda quote, not just for this show, just generally. Like, I think it's just a great message to deliver to kids, to anybody, really.
Yeah.
It is not because Kai is great at everything. It's because Kai is an exceptional person by being himself, period, full stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if I would say he's talented. I don't even know if I would say exceptional, because I feel like the Force can pick anyone. It's about making the right decisions. And for Kai, it's about,
I meant like an exceptional person in terms of like morality and stuff like that. Like heart.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I didn't mean in terms of like training or anything.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else for Caves of Batuu?
No, I thought it was a fun episode. I liked what it did for Kai. Just entertainment wise, just in terms of execution wise as well, it wasn't my absolute favorite of the episodes that we've watched, but it was solid.
I remember when I watched this episode first, I'm like, damn, that was really good. This is actually probably one of my favorites of all of them, honestly, just because I'm really like, I love the Path of the Jedi like formula for an episode, having those visions. Like, I'm all for the weird Force shit. I think it took a tried and true format and put it into YJA very well.
Yeah, I think it could have done with just in terms of the message and the way that it's written and what it focuses on, I think it could have been a little bit more ambitious, even knowing what kind of show this is and knowing the audience. It could have been a little more ambitious. But that being said, I'm with you. I love the weird force shit. I thought this episode was quite entertaining. Should we go on to
Finders Keepers, which is the redheaded stepchild of this episode. Look, I liked that it was on BRACCA.
I thought it was a fun episode. You really didn't dig it at all?
I just don't think there was as much to it as the other two.
That's fair.
It's not that I didn't like it. But the Pikpik are fun.
I love the Pikpik. I have so many questions about the Pikpik. I really hope they make a comeback.
The Pikpik are fun.
In the future.
What am I gonna say? Aaron's cool. Mimi's cool. I really like the random piece of lore the junkyard thing about BRACCA has always been there. For hundreds of years, it's been a junkyard planet.
It's just been the galaxy's dump for as long as people can remember.
The only difference...
Which is insane.
The only difference about BRACCA is what junk is on it.
Yeah.
Which I find hilarious. No, BRACCA is... Yeah, and people are scrapping. The only difference between BRACCA in YJA and BRACCA in Bad Batch or Fallen Order is exactly what the junk is. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think this is the first episode with Aaron, correct?
Yeah, it is. I'm almost certain.
So I think for me, this is a fun episode. I really like that we get to spend an entire episode or an entire short half of an episode. I like that we get to spend some time on BRACCA. I'm a sucker for the world building, the attention to detail, seeing different aspects of life on the planet. So I like that we see Aaron guiding them through life as a scrapper, even in this way where I think it does lack some sophistication in terms of how she talks about it, which obviously is to be expected for this show. I'm not going to dogpile on it for that. I think that the central kind of motivator of the episode, which is her attachment to Mimi and the scrapper life, where it's finders keepers, there's stealing. That's something that's really emphasized. There's no friends on BRACCA, no friends in the industry type of thing. It's cutthroat, it's ruthless. Everyone's trying to get a leg up, just trying to survive, get the good scrap, get the loot. I feel like it doesn't quite. I feel like it doesn't quite work, and it's not quite believable for some reason, and I'm struggling to put my finger on why. It just feels to me like it's just dropped in there. We're like, okay, like we hardly know this character. Like, and it's like we've seen the attachment, we've seen the anthropomorphized, like super emotional attachment to a droid a ton of times before. This is far from the most cogent time that it's been deployed. So for that, I was left. So as cool as this episode was, all the trappings of the episode are really cool, but the actual structure, the actual core of the episode, I wasn't a huge fan of it. What's your take?
I will say, what this episode does do is allow me to show you what the average Young Jedi Adventures episode is like.
So this is
for a kid to all the stuff we're leaving out.
You've been filtering out. You've been giving me the good stuff.
Yes, basically. Like a lot of the other stuff is basically the Jedi have to chase down some mundane problem. Maybe it's interesting. Most of the time, it's not. There's a great one. I almost included it in the first half of episode 18 called The Great Leaf Guide. The Great Leaf Glide, where where Kylus and Nubs are on these fucking... The episode description calls it sky surfing. And they're basically like on these like hang gliders, except for you can stand on them. Like they're like a surfboard combined with a hang glider. Weird shit. But it like ultimately like it's a cool. It looks cool. It's a visually cool episode. It has a lot of fun action. But that's about where it stops. And that's Finders Keepers for me. The only reason I included it is A, because it's attached to Caves of Batuu, so it was easy, and B, because it's BRACCA and I like seeing BRACCA in this state. I think that's cool. Yeah, and also there's the Dianoga, which I'm pretty sure in my notes I accidentally became Dianoga racist for a second because I wondered if that Dianoga was related to Omi, the one in the trash compactor in A New Hope. Sorry, I'm very sorry for my Dianoga racism.
I was knowing this show, I was hoping that the Jedi were gonna make friends with the Dianoga.
I also love, by
Have
the way,
like
the
a
fact
friendly, fun
I also love the
Dianoga
fact
episode.
that in the last 2 episodes we have a Dianoga and a trash compactor, but somehow they're not together.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Like
great. It's great. It's great.
They're just not combined.
Yeah, all the ingredients are there.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Jacob and I, like, again, I put this episode in so we could have another something in here, and also because it was attached. But all right, so are you ready for the Prince and the Pirate?
This is what we've been waiting for.
This is what I've been waiting for all season. This is what I've been waiting for months now.
Honestly, this is what you've been alluding to. This is what you've been alluding to.
So I remember when I first saw Taborr take off his mask, because they telegraph with that end of the team up, wonder what his story is. They telegraph that they're going to give this to you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But the answer is not what you expect, is it?
Oh, it's certainly not. It's certainly not.
I remember watching Aftershock for the first time before I watched this and being extremely bored with that episode. I'm like, why do I need to care about this episode? I'm like, cool, they say monarchy is bad. Very cool. What's the big deal? And then after I remember, I'm like, oh, I need to include it now. But now everything that Taborr does starts to make sense. I put some notes. I had been taking notes, a few notes in previous episodes that I went when I still knew that Taborr was Cyrus. But I didn't obviously say them in the episode because I was not spoiling it for you. Here's some of my notes I had from those previous episodes. From the first episode we had, the fact that this is all a ploy to act out because his parents are the worst kind of monarchs of the 1%, and all he wanted is for somebody to tell him he's special is, man, I'm getting emotional about a show for 5-year-olds. Trey Murphy is fantastic. There's that line from The Jedi and the Thief, if Ace can choose to do good, then maybe one day Taborr can too, which, pretty good foreshadowing there. With Princess and the Jedi, Taborr sees a royal comfortable in her own skin. Makes him think. From one of the things in episode 3, everyone loves the Jedi. Pirates have to earn their respect. And that's where Taborr is wrong. Jedi have to earn their respect. And often, even when they have, they don't get it. No one is naturally given respect unless both of your parents are, say, monarchs.
Look, to be fair to Taborr at this point especially, dude, it seems like everyone loves the Jedi. It seems like everyone absolutely loves the Jedi right now.
Yes, and I'm not saying that's not true, but the idea of this is this rich, spoiled kid whose parents are not very good people.
Yeah.
Acting out. Like, he needs to get recognition somehow. So this is what he turns to.
But bear with me here. I know, is there a difference between true respect? Is there a difference between really getting respect and getting the kind of deference and treatment that he gets as a powerful royal? That would be what I would ask about Taborr, because I think that then I think Taborr might have a point. He is in such a situation where clearly his parents are not very invested in being there for him, being good parents,
being good rulers.
He's completely isolated because as a member of the royal family, everyone else hates his guts and resents him and associates him with his parents. So at the end of the day, I think for him, subconsciously or not, explicitly or not in his mind, his calculus just becomes, I have to craft a different identity for myself. I have to forge something different.
No,
even if that means being a pirate.
Yeah, no, I think
because clearly being a good and helpful person, whether it's in his position as a royal, whether it's philanthropy, random acts of kindness, being a better ruler, whatever it is, clearly being a kind and helpful person, he doesn't have role models around that teach him that. So I think for him, Taborr really is a product of him just feeling complete completely boxed in. And quite frankly, I feel very sympathetic for him, to be
I do
honest with
too.
you. Like
However, I will say
he's
this.
not a bad dude,
No, he's not.
but
I
he
will
just
say
makes
this,
a
though.
lot of shitty decisions and
Yeah,
tries to be the
where
tough guy. And
that's where the Star
his
Wars
problems
themes
lie.
come in.
Yeah.
Cyrus is put in a horrible position, but these choices he makes are still his choices.
It's not an excuse for him.
The Jedi give him opportunity after opportunity. Remember back to all of the opportunities that the Jedi give for him to do the right thing. And sometimes he does it, and sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does it, sometimes he does not.
But I think despite that, I think that the thing that separates the differentiator between this and between this guy and this kind of character in were this to happen in Rebels or the Clone Wars or a novel or a movie, is that he's not hurting people necessarily. All he's doing, he is hurting. My point, he's not directly being
he's not
violent
physically
towards
hurting anybody.
people. He's not physically
but I would
hurting
argue
people.
That the only
he's not
reason
killing.
that's I would argue that the only reason that's not happening actually is because of the show's like age demographic.
Yeah, 100%. No, it definitely is about what's appropriate or not for the show.
Very much for me, there's a lot. If you think about this, the son of a monarch and a very important person in the galaxy, constantly being held up to his parents outside, feeling like he doesn't belong, and turning to a life that's the exact opposite of what his parents would want him to do. I could just be describing Cyrus Vuundir, or I could be describing Ben Solo. Parallels are evident.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, I think the thing is, there's a certain level of sympathy that you can have for Cyrus because he's just stealing stuff. And obviously, sometimes he's stealing stuff from really vulnerable people in really vulnerable positions, like the timber episode. And sometimes he's just stealing luxury goods or dedication plaques, which is completely and totally different from really more violent, morally bankrupt acts that he could be doing were this story created under different circumstances.
And what I also love about this twist is it makes Taborr's actions in previous episodes make a shit ton more sense.
Yeah.
Like, why is he so willing to drop everything easily when he's caught by the Jedi? Because the stuff doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
He does not care about the stuff. It's about the respect.
Yeah.
It is about the building respect. He has everything he needs monetarily.
That's what makes it all the crazier, though. At the same time.
Yeah, it's
Taborr. Yeah.
And what it does to this episode, I think, is just beautiful. Like, it is, when you think of the prince of the pirate, like, what I thought before seeing this episode is, who's the prince that the Jedi have to protect from Taborr?
Yeah.
And then he realized there is no prince. It's not two different people. It's one person. And they're two different sides.
And it's funny. It's very funny that you should say who's the prince that the Jedi have to protect from Taborr, because you could look at it as the Jedi are inadvertently endeavoring to protect Cyrus from himself. That other part of himself being Taborr.
No, absolutely. Those are my favorite parts of this episode. Honestly, my favorite parts of this episode. The first thing I think of when I think of this episode are those shots where the Jedi where Kylus and Nubs are saying how great Cyrus is to Taborr, and Cyrus is looking through the helmet, those shots of his eyes.
Yeah.
That's what hits for me. Like, it is because he's never heard that before.
Yeah.
He's likely never heard that before.
It's a watershed moment for him to be like, wait, I can get acceptance. I can experience acceptance and love and belonging and purpose. And also I am just myself. I don't have to go out and steal and loot and put on this whole persona and do all this crazy shit that I'm doing. And ultimately, that makes me wonder, are we gonna see Taborr again? Or is that it for him? Is it just Cyrus from here on out? And that's what I'm not sure about. Because I didn't think that he would escape this episode with his double life intact. I thought for sure
actually the first time.
I thought they really got me there, because as soon as
it's the moment of the trash compactor, he puts his hand on the head.
Yeah. Or I think even before that, I think the obvious thing would have been, okay, Taborr's here, Cyrus is also here. Obviously, they're the same person, but Taborr's here, Cyrus is here, the Jedi are here. Obviously, there's going to be a reckoning. We don't really get that. We don't really get the full reckoning the way that I thought we were.
Yeah,
but it does. It leaves something for the future. Are we getting a season 2? Do we know yet? Do we know?
God, I hope so. I don't know. No, there's nothing. There has been nothing announced, and I'm going to give you some details right now, very quickly, about why a season 2 might be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. So, I was talking with friends of the show, Buck O'Brien, who's watched this. Who's one of our friends who's watched this show with us, or at least watched these final episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And he and I came up with a shocking revelation that we both realized at the same time. Because I thought before this, because the dedication of Starlight Beacon is something that takes place in the High Republic. It takes place at the beginning of the first issue of the High Republic comic. Like, we don't see Kai and Listen Nubs in the comic, but that's because they weren't invented yet. But we see the dedication ceremony. I wouldn't be surprised, I haven't read it for a while, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lena So's words were adapted directly from the comic. But I thought that took place before Light of the Jedi. No, it takes place at the end of Light of the Jedi, which obviously they stand by Bell at the end, right?
Yeah.
Jacob, where's Logan?
It's a good question.
He's been captured. He's been captured by Marchion Ro. He's being tortured by Marchion Ro as that ceremony happens. They don't mention it, but millions and millions of people have died in the last few days at the end of this from a Nihil-engineered hyperspace-like fluke called the Great Disaster, where they sent pieces of a Republic transport ship called the Legacy Run, scattering all over and destroying many, many parts and killing many millions of people on the planet Hessel.
Yeah.
And before, I thought this was just before Light of the Jedi, so I thought that hadn't happened yet. Because here's the thing. Once that happens, the Jedi, it's a darker time in the galaxy. The Jedi have to fight, really, for the first time that they have in around 150 years.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem to lend itself too well to a show for 5-year-olds, does it?
It doesn't, yeah.
And then I realize that there is a potential for a season 2, and here's why. Do you know what the Nile's next move after the attack on Hetzel is?
I don't.
It's nothing. They don't do anything.
So we'll just skip over it potentially?
Let me explain. They attack they attack a Jedi outpost on Elfrona. They kidnap Loden. And then they don't do anything for a year. Marchion basically decides to psych the Jedi out. Basically, maybe you'll feel like an attack on a shipping lane here, maybe. Like maybe a few of those in the year afterwards, but really nothing. So by the time that the Republic Fair is being held on Valo, they can launch a sneak attack on the fair. And the Jedi will be completely unprepared, which is exactly what happens. So we have a year in between this and the Nihil attack on Valo, which is, if a season 2 were to happen, could take place here. Sorry for my very long ramble about that timeline, but yeah, it's just interesting stuff, because I thought maybe we couldn't get a season 2. We could. But yeah, no, that's another great thing about this is the fact that we see the dedication at the end with Chancellor Alina So, who is a main character in the High Republic, who is the Chancellor of the Republic. I wish we saw her 2 Targans. She has 2 Targans as pets, Matari and Voru. Targans are basically lions, but what if they had 4 eyes?
Okay.
And she has 2 domesticated Targans as pets. Like, really fucking cool. Yeah. But anyway, back to the episode. I wanted to get the timeline stuff with the High Republic back out of the way. But yeah, no, obviously they get into the trash compactor, which obviously is a New Hope reference, again, to get kids ready for the visual language. You know, the walls closing in, we have that visual language, we know it. Yeah, I wish they'd gone all the way, but I think there might actually be a second season, because they wouldn't leave it that open if they didn't think there was any chance. Yeah. There's a bunch of, I really like the comparisons, honestly. Like, I like that Taborr, very much in the language of Star Wars, is getting kids ready for Vader and Kylo in quite a few ways. Why do you care about the weak little prince? What has he ever done? It fits perfectly in the vein of, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. Or Ben Solo was weak, I destroyed him. Where, you know, you have to, as Kylo says in TLJ, kill the past die, kill it if you have to. It's the only way to become what you're meant to be.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's the path of these characters who fall to the dark side.
Yeah. I think it's him realizing I agree. It's an amazing line, and it's an amazing moment. And it's Taborr realizing, I guess I feel like calling him Taborr still. I'm not sure which one, Cyrus, Taborr. I'm not sure which one feels right. I might just call them based on who it is in the moment, so to speak. But that's Taborr realizing, wait, fundamentally, the Jedi are different because they value people for who they are, not just the respect that they can command or the power. They value people for who they are, not just the power that they wield. And that's fundamentally different from, we can only assume, his parents, the environment, the role models that he grew up with, the environment that he grew up in. I think it's an awesome moment. I was chuckling through that one for sure.
Yeah. And we have that moment after, actually, let's get to that final fight in that reactor shaft, which, by the way, I'm not the only one thinking that's another visual introduction, right?
Oh, no, because
it looks like Cloud City.
This entire show, but particularly these past couple of episodes that we've been discussing, are really densely laden with the classic Star Wars archetype. So the classic Star Wars moments. You get, obviously we got the trash compactor, but you get dueling on a bridge over some kind of crazy bottomless pit, the accept my hand, join me, the vision, the whole vision sequence, the Jedi. It's really, there's a lot of homages being paid, and I think that's cool. And like you said, it's creating familiarity in reverse, because we can assume that the when they're writing this show, we can assume that what the writers have in mind is people who kids who have most likely not watched Star Wars before, necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's creating reverse familiarity for when you see the trash compactor somewhere else, when you see the reactor somewhere else, be it in the Phantom Menace, or be it in Rebels, or be it wherever, which I think is very interesting that they're doing that. It's an interesting way to build up Star Wars' identity for a younger audience.
They're great visual and thematic homages here.
The fight itself as well is the best
really
we've ever gotten from this show. It's very intense.
It is.
Emotionally, also just in terms of the choreography, the execution, visually.
The choreography,
they're going at it.
They really bumped it up for this, and you can really feel that. This episode very much earns the it earns every minute it has. It really does. And after Taborr escapes, You get that scene with Yoda and the younglings, and then Yoda turns to Cyrus. And I love the thing he says to Cyrus. Much conflict on you I sense. Greatness I sense too. If you make the right choices, up to you the future is.
Do you think Yoda knows?
I don't think Yoda knows, actually. I do not think Yoda knows. I think do I think Yoda knows that Cyrus is Taborr? No, I don't think Yoda cares.
Yeah, you're right. Yoda has bigger fish to fry.
I don't think.
I'm assuming he knows something is up.
No, I think he knows that
because it's Yoda.
That I think that he knows that Cyrus isn't sharing something about himself. I don't think he knows specifically what that is, but no, the Nihil are attacking the galaxy right now. The stuff with the Hetzel system. Yoda doesn't care about some kid pirate.
Yeah, he's got other shit to.
He's got other stuff to deal with. He's the Grand Master of the motherfucking Order. Come on. Yeah. No, but he absolutely does sense that something is up. And it's the power of Yoda to tell Cyrus exactly what he needs to hear.
Yeah, 100%.
With one of the biggest Star Wars themes ever, which is it is not who you are that makes you light or dark. It is what you do. And you have to make that choice over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And you can mess up. You can mess up, but you need to get back on the horse. You need to start making those choices. And it's always available. You always can.
Yeah, that's, if anything is Star Wars, that is Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's almost always a way to get back on the wagon and keep it moving. No matter what's happened, that's life. That's life.
It's fantastic. What are your overall thoughts about this one?
About the Prince and the Pirate?
Yeah.
I don't actually know if it's my very favorite episode that we've watched, that we've covered. I think that some of the other ones are so delightful that I'm not really sure. I'll have to think back over it, and when we do our season retrospective of Young Jedi Adventures, I will have a more definitive answer of how I feel. But for now, very well done. Coming into this show, I did not expect anything close to this cool of a payoff of the show, finding a way to complicate what we thought was going to happen so profoundly. Because I had no idea that it was going to be Cyrus. Like, I did the biggest double take when he took off his helmet. I was like, wait, that guy looks familiar. We know... Oh my God, is that Prince Cyrus?
It's a fantastic reveal. It makes sense.
And then I was so sure, and maybe this is just me, but I was so sure that we were going to get a big reveal and with the Jedi. And nope, we just, it's drawn out. We don't know yet. And I think that's a great decision. I think that's a great decision to keep that going, to keep that suspense, to keep some of the question marks and not resolve it all right now. And I really hope they make a second season, if only so that we can see what happens to Taborr.
I absolutely agree. Such a great, again, I mostly, as soon as I watched Prince and the Pirate for the first time, I knew we had to do this season. I just knew. This episode is, I'll spoil this from the retrospective, it is my favorite episode of the season. For me, this is the first, and really only, not a diss on the other Young Jedi Adventures episodes, but the only Young Jedi Adventure episode that stands up to your Rebels, your Clone Wars, your Bad Batch. This feels like that caliber. This feels good and not just for the 5-year-old kid show. It feels really like a well thought out, written episode, and I'm incredibly impressed with this. Katie Kaniewski, I'm going to say, is the writer of this episode. She did a fantastic job. It's a beautiful episode. The Lena So cameo at the end is great. They end it for light and life, which is like the big catchphrase. Actually, it's not the Republic catchphrase. It is technically a Republic catchphrase, but really it's the Jedi catchphrase at the time, for light and life, which is how they govern everything they do for light and life. Because the Republic one is we are all the Republic. That's the big initiative that Lena So is pushing at the beginning of the High Republic initiative, is we are all the Republic. But for light and life is specifically a Jedi thing. And just to see all those Jedi lightsabers out, it is as one of the peak times to be a Jedi in the galaxy. Obviously, we'll see. We're recording this early May. We'll see. So the Acolyte trailer just released a few days ago. What was I gonna say? The Acolyte, we have that shot in the Acolyte trailer with all those Jedi igniting their lightsabers. And this is weird, in a weird way, a tease for that. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. Love The Prince of the Pirate. Beautiful wrap up to this season. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Next week we will be doing our retrospective episode, and then the week after we'll be doing some sort of special episode before we proceed to season 18 of Star Wars in the Galaxy, which is Jedi Survivor. In the meantime, you can follow us at In a Galaxy Pod everywhere. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, wherever your podcast will be there. We hope y'all. I think this is going to come out a few weeks later, but we hope y'all had a great Star Wars day. I hope you enjoyed Tales of the Empire. I certainly did. I hope you enjoyed the Story of Skywalker, which came out, which is fantastic. If the EC match Jared vs. Brandon is out by then, go watch that. You can find me, linktr.e/_scorchfan327 is my link tree. And I think until then, all there's left to say is may the Force be with you.
Always.